Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we will explain about periods of literature. I'm Ely Ela Andayani, 063.
And I'm Ismatul Zulaikhah 058.
Literary periods are spans of time for literature that shares intellectual, linguistic, religious, and artistic influences.
1. The classical period 1200 BCE until 455 CE. Greek legends were passed along orally, including Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey. This is a chaotic period of warrior princes, wandering sea traders, and free spirits. 2. Classical Greek periods 800 until 200 BCE. Greek writers, playwrights, and philosophers include Georgius, Aesop, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, Euripides, and Sophocles. The 5th century, 499 until 400 BCE, in particular is renowned as the Golden Age of Greece. 3. Classical Roman period 200 BCE until 455 CE. Greece's culture gave way to Roman power when Rome conquered Greece in 146 CE. The Roman Republic was traditionally founded in 509 BCE, but it was limited in size until later. Playwrights of this time include Plautus and Terence. 4. Patristic period c. 70 CE until 455 CE. Early Christian writers include Saint Augustine, Tertullian, Saint Cyprian, Saint Ambrose, and Saint Jerome.
2. The medieval period 455 CE until 1485 CE. They are the Old English and the Middle English. The Old English period 428 until 1066 CE. The so-called Dark Age 455 CE until 799 CE occurred after Rome fell and barbarian tribes moved into Europe. 2. The Middle English period 1066 until 1450 CE. In 1066, Norman French armies invaded and conquered England under William I. This marks the end of the Anglo-Saxon heresy and the emergence of the 12th century Renaissance.
3. The Renaissance and Reformation 1485 until 1660 CE. The Renaissance took place in the late 15th, 16th, and early 17th century in Britain, but somewhat earlier in Italy and Southern Europe, and somewhat later in Northern Europe. 1. Early Tudor period 1485 until 1558. The War of the Roses ended in England with Henry Tudor or Henry VII climbing the throne. 2. Elizabethan period 1558 until 1603. Queen Elizabeth saved England from both Spanish invasion and internal squabbles at home. Her reign is marked by the early works of Shakespeare, Marlowe, Kite, and Sidney. 3. Jacobean period 1603 until 1625. Shakespeare Shakespeare's later work include Amelia Lanier, Ben Jonson and John Donne. 4. Caroline H. 1625 until 1649. John Milton, George Herbert, Robert Herrick, the sons of Ben, and others wrote during the reign of Charles I and his career. 5. Commonwealth period or Puritan interregnum 1649 until 1660. Under Cromwell's Puritan dictatorship, John Milton continued to write, but we also find writers like Adu Marvell and Sir Thomas Browne.
4. The Enlightenment or Neoclassical period 1660 until 1790 CE. Neoclassical refers to the increased influence of classical literature upon these centuries. The neoclassical period is also called the Enlightenment due to the increased preference for logic and disdain for superstition. The period is marked by the rise of this intellectual backlash against earlier Puritanism and America's revolution against England. The Enlightenment Neoclassical period 1660 until 1790 CE. Number 1. Restoration period 1660 until 1700. This period marks the British king's restoration to the throne after a long period of Puritan domination in England. Its symptoms include the dominance of French and classical influences on poetry and drama. Number 2. The Augustan Age 1700 until 1750. This period is marked by the imitation of Virgil and Horace literature in English letters. The principal English writers include Edition Stoll, Swift, and Alexander Pope. Albert Forsyth was the dominant French writer. 3. The Age of Johnson 1750 until 1790. This period marked the transition toward the upcoming Romanticism, though the period is still largely neoclassical. Major writers include Dr. Samuel Johnson, Boswell, and Edward, who represent the neoclassical tendencies, while writers like Robert Burns, Thomas Gray, Cowper, and Crabbe show movement away from the neoclassical ideal. In America, this period is called the colonial period. Includes colonial and revolutionary writers like Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Paine.
5. The Romantic period 1790 until 1830 CE. Romantic poets wrote about nature, imagination, and individuality in England. Some romantics include Coleridge, Black, Keats, and Shelley in Britain, and Johann von Goethe in Germany. Gothic writings c. 1790 until 1890 overlap with the Romantic and Victorian periods. Writers of Gothic novels are the precursor to horror novels include Radcliffe, Monk, Lewis, and Victorians like Bram Stoker in Britain. In America, Gothic writers include Poe and Hawthorne.
6. The Victorian period and the 6. The Victorian period and the 19th century, 1832 until 1901 CE. Writings from the period of Queen Victoria's reign include sentimental novels. British writers include Elizabeth Browning, Alfred Lord Tennyson, pre-Raphaelites like the Rossetti siblings and William Morris, idealists and long for morality of the medieval world. The end of the Victorian period is marked by the intellectual movements of aesthetics and the descendants in the writings of Walter Pater and Oscar Wilde.
7. The modern period 1914 until 1945 CE. In Britain, modernist writers include W. B. Yeats, Seamus Heaney, Dylan Thomas, and in America, the modernist period includes Robert Frost and Flannery O'Connor, as well as the famous writers of the Lost Generation. The Harlem Renaissance marks the rise of black writers such as Baldwin and Ellison.
8. The postmodern period, 1845 until onward. T.S. Eliot, Morrison, and other modern writers, poets, and playwrights experiments with metafiction and fragment poetry. Multiculturalism led to an increasing canonization of non-Caucasian writers such as Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, magic realists such as Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Louis Borges, with surrealistic writings embodied in the convention of realism. Thanks
Thanks
for
for
your
your
attention.
attention.
If we make mistakes, please we
we
beg
beg
your
your
pardon.
pardon.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.